Okay, so this film, The Last Days of American Crime, is based on a comic book. It said graphic novel, but it could also just be a compiled comic book miniseries by Rick Remender for Radical Publishing, which means he probably didn't get paid for it. Um, so yeah, again, there's going to be, I'm just going to give my overall thoughts here at the beginning, then there's going to be a big spoiler section, and then we'll do the ending bit. So there'll be breakpoints in between so you can space out if you don't want to be spoiled. But I wouldn't get your hopes too high up on this because unfortunately I really have to give The Last Days of American Crime an F. Just not very good. I will admit I have not read the comic. Maybe that works a little bit better, but this is from director Olivier Megaton, the guy who ruined the Transporter franchise, turning it into a turgid, muddy-looking mess, and he hasn't learned anything. The pacing is terrible. The plot would be fine, but there's just... The plot's fine. It's a good idea. I mean, a little caper heist movie with a unique wrinkle into it, which I'll get into in the spoiler section, but... Again, it's not a bad idea for a plot. In fact, it was rather interesting. That's why I was looking forward to this. But again, it's really padded out and boring and dull, and the action set pieces don't come across as exciting in the slightest. The main lead, I think his name is Edgar Ramirez. His accent is so thick, and the sound mixing is really bad on this one too. I don't know if this is a Netflix thing, because the last we reviewed had bad sound mixing as well. And in this case, the male lead, Edgar Ramirez, he'd be fine, except he talks like this through the whole time, and I couldn't hear him. I could hear almost everyone else fine. Him, I don't know. Like, what was going on there? I had to subtitle the film to figure out what was going on. And that's not good. It's like, it's just, again, you had a decent enough premise here, and there are, I will say this, on the film's plus side too, is there are a couple of decent performances from Anna Brewster and Michael Pitt, but they're kind of hammy and over the top, but that's really about it. Again, just, it's really kind of low and grimy, and not in a good way. So yeah, that's why I'm giving The Last Days of American Crime an F.
Here's my nephew Scruff, about to run into trouble again.
Hey, Bobo, where's your video game?
In here. Well, look at this.
Uh-oh.
It's my dad's. You want to hold it?
What'll I do?
You'll see, but that's not the only problem he has.
Hey, here's a shortcut.
Not down there, Square.
I don't think it's safe. Come on, the coast is clear.
I'm not taking a chance, Lance.
Oh, no. Well, hello, Dogface. Come to give us your sneakers.
Uh-oh, trouble again, Scruff. What are you gonna do now?
I don't know.
If you get my new comic activity book, More Adventures with Scruff, you'll find out what you can do about bullies, drugs, and guns.
Am I the hero again?
You'll see. And you'll see lots of games.
Cool.
For your free copy of my new comic activity book, write Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. Scruff McGruff, Chicago, Illinois, 60652. And you'll be helping take a bite out of crime.
I want it.
Okay, so it's spoilers from here to the next endpoint. So, okay, 3, 2, 1, you know when to skip. Alright, so like I said, this is a comic book from Radical Publishing and Radical Productions. I didn't even know this company still existed at this point because, yeah. If you don't know, Radical is a comic book publisher in the loosest sense of the form. Basically what they want is they want things that they can turn into movie properties, and they also have a tendency to not pay their creators. So yeah, they pay them in exposure, I guess, but sometimes too they'll get big name creators and screw them out of it, because their only other cinematic output was that Hercules movie that was out, if you recall, I think it was in 2013 or maybe it was 2014, where there was you had the dueling Hercules movies that got released in the same year. They did the one that had The Rock in it. And that was yeah, again, the only one where, if I remember, there was a segment in the trailer where you heard The Rock going, "I am Hercules!" And I remember seeing that in the theater and the entire audience just laughing at it. So, yeah, again, Radical not exactly held in the highest regard. So, yeah, anyway, the plot of this does, like I said, it has a kind of unique wrinkle. basically it's the sort of not too distant future, but not way down in Deep 13, and a group called the American Peace Initiative, that's the American Peace Initiative, or API, has developed a technology that allows for this low-level frequency signal to be broadcast through these radio towers, and supposedly it causes anyone who has evil thoughts to feel like intense pain. It's supposed to dissuade them from committing any crimes. So it's about to go into full effect across the nation. They tested it in a few points. This film takes place in Detroit, and basically the main character, who's named Graham Brick, is approached by Kevin Cash, who is the son of a mafioso that Brick used to work for, and knows some secrets about what caused the death of Brick's brother, and it has to do with this signal. But he comes to him and he says, hey, look, there's this processing house for all this mob money. Basically, all of the criminals are, because they're now going straight, and their money will be effectively rendered inert. They won't be able to spend it anymore. What they're doing is they're doing this exchange thing where they're bringing in all this cash, all their money, and exchanging it for money that they can spend. So basically we're going to hit this warehouse where they're keeping all the money, and then we're going to flee to Canada in this brief, I think, 40-minute window where we could hit it, and we could maybe get across the border into Canada where this signal will not affect us. And that's the plan. And it's actually concocted by Kevin's fiance, who's not really his fiance, whose name is Shelby Dupree, and she's a master hacker who hacked her way into MIT and the FBI, and she spends most of her time sleeping with other men in the cast. So, yeah, including Brick. And from there, basically they start planning this last big heist, and there's several kind of weird shenanigans that pop up along the way. People turn on each other. There's a big twist at the end, sort of, kind of, not really. Like I said, there's betrayals. I mean, and then it kind of goes into your bog standard heist movie, but unfortunately there's just a lot of really unnecessary padding. There's a lot of, like I said, there's Shelby sleeps around like 2 or 3 times in this thing, and that's, yeah, again, like, you're trying to portray her as this sort of positive thing, but she's being sexually objectified almost every turn of the camera. So, anyway, and again, you get like this wallowing bit because basically Kevin was in jail with Rory, who is Brick's brother, and they were basically these test animals for the signal, and basically he comes to and he says, look, your brother didn't commit suicide. Basically, yeah, Graham was told that, or Brick was told that Rory committed suicide, and Kevin says, no, he didn't. What happened was they turned the signal on, he was completely like in pain because of it, he was suffering, and then the guards came, they beat him to death because they're not affected by the signal. Like I said, I'm not sure exactly how this signal is supposed to work, because there's also this subplot with a cop, because law enforcement is going to be rendered completely obsolete because of this, and so basically, but because some officers may have done some things even accidentally wrong, they don't want to have to suffer because of the signal, so they're getting this implant in that's supposed to override it. And there's this one cop named Sawyer that's involved in this part too. And we kind of follow him around briefly, but then he vanishes until like the tail end of the movie. So yeah, anyway, where was I? Yeah, and that's what the impetus to get Brick to join this group, and Brick picks his own getaway driver who's named Ross, who's an old friend of his, and they set about trying to, like I said, commit this heist. Along the way, Kevin winds up killing his father in order to get some explosives that they need. Let's see, I've already explained the subplot with the cop. Sorry. Like I said, there's just so much of this movie. Unfortunately, it kind of just slips your mind sometimes, and again, the pacing is so bad because you want to just get to the heist. Like, you know, that's what every good heist movie does. You get to the heist. You don't, and yes, you have points where you have the planning, but you make that planning a little interesting and you tighten it up. You don't dwell on it for 40 minutes. And that's the problem. Like, there's just 40 minutes of nothing that's happening in this. I mean, it turns out Shelby is also working with the FBI because she actually got caught while hacking it. She didn't successfully do so. And they basically kidnapped her sister and said, look, we'll give her a passport. She can go to Canada. She'll, you know, be peaceful, you know, where she could be safe. But you have to play ball with us. And so she has to, because really they don't care about Brick. They want Kevin. And they're basically setting it up. But of course the FBI is going to screw her out of this, going to screw Shelby out of this as well. But Brick finds out about all of this, and he works out a scheme with Shelly, and there's schemes, and all these kind of faux twists. The only, like, one big twist I would say that comes through is it's eventually revealed that, again, Kevin was exposed to the signal so much that he eventually learned he could override it. He developed kind of a resistance to it. And it just turned him into an absolute psychopath who would feel no pain because now whenever he does something, he doesn't feel bad about it. Yeah, so that's kind of the big thing. And he tries to pull a turn on him, but then the feds show up. And yeah, eventually the only ones who make it to Canada are Brick and Shelby. But Brick is shot several times along the way and he winds up bleeding to death. Yeah, like I said, I probably made it sound a little more interesting than it was, but just imagine this was spread out over 2.5 hours. That's just way too long. And like I said, this was directed by Olivier Megaton, who's the guy who did Transporter 3, which took, you know, what were very bright, colorful, fun action films and turned it into this mucky, muddy dreck that had no excitement or action in it at all. And he did Taken 3, and again, the Taken franchise had one good film, and that was it. And yeah, I think he did Taken 2 as well, which, again, not the greatest pedigree, really. So, yeah, someone's arriving, sorry. That's, again, why I'm giving this an F. It's just, there was really no redeeming factors except for a couple of decent hammy performances.
McGruff, the crime dog here. Tony thinks he's gonna walk home alone. Tony is wrong.
Tony! What are you doing? Walking off by yourself.
Good thing it was his friends, cause teenagers are the victims of over 2,000 violent crimes by strangers every day. You can help stop it. Learn to protect yourself and your friends. Find out more. Write to McGruff, the crime dog, and help take a bite out of crime.
Okay, so again, normally this is where I do trailers, but again, there's no real trailers. So the next video is going to be the recap and review of NXT TakeOver in Your House. I love the title, at least. After that, kind of a busy weekend next time because we're going to have 2 movie reviews next week. We're going to have Artemis Fowl. Yes, I got a Disney Plus membership. We're going to have Da 5 Bloods, the new Spike Lee movie that's on Netflix. We are then going to have the Random Trade Review on Gambit Classic Volume 1, and then and then after that will be the recap and review of Backlash 2020. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember, you can help support my channel at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions, where you can help request a movie, even if it's something like, say, Sonic the Hedgehog or the next Purge film. I'll review it.